Welcome back to Liberal Unplugged, where we unplug the noise and cut through the left's never-ending games. And of course, here's your meme of the day. Remember how they told us we were delusional? How they laughed and brushed it off? Nothing there. Don't be ridiculous. That was the line every time Obamagate came up. For years, they treated it like some wild rumor. Anyone who brought it up got mocked, shadow banned, or labeled as spreading misinformation. But now that the dust is settling and certain documents are finally seeing daylight after nearly 10 years locked away, the narrative is starting to crack. The Russia saga wasn't some innocent fact-finding mission. It wasn't a random investigation that just happened. It was crafted. It was planned. It was an intel operation aimed straight at the American public and, more importantly, straight at Donald Trump's campaign, then his presidency. It was engineered to cripple a president voters chose, and maybe even push him out. And the idea that Obama had no clue, that excuse is getting harder to sell by the day. Obamagate wasn't a fantasy. It's looking more and more like a coordinated effort, and now, for the first time, the evidence is starting to surface. And then, out of nowhere, Tulsi Gabbard drops a bombshell, a massive reveal that blows this whole thing wide open. Let me walk you through exactly what she exposed. We've got a lot to break down. So, let's roll the tape.
All right, folks, check this out. Fox News just dropped a new segment, and it's something you need to see.
The Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, releasing a bombshell report today that shows a conspiracy by a sitting president, Barack Obama, and his intel agencies to sabotage the president-elect, Donald Trump, brainwash the electorate, and undermine the legitimacy of an election.
There is irrefutable evidence that detail how President Obama and his national security team directed the creation of an intelligence community assessment that they knew was false. They knew it would promote this contrived narrative that Russia interfered in the 2016 election to help President Trump win, selling it to the American people as though it were true. It wasn't.
Gabbard got her hands on a House intel report that's been locked away in a CIA vault for almost a decade. Investigators spent over 2,000 hours looking into how the Russia hoax was born, interviewing 20 CIA and FBI officials. And it turns out that the Obama administration doctored the intelligence to make it look like Putin and Trump stole the election. A month after Trump beat Hillary, Barack Obama wasn't satisfied with his intelligence reporting and ordered his CIA director to create a new assessment of how Russia interfered with the election. This was a highly unusual move. John Brennan handpicked 5 CIA analysts to write the assessment. There was nothing routine about this, and it was a rush job to publish before Trump was sworn in. There were 4 key elements from the assessment that were repeated over and over again and formed the basis of the Russia hoax and the Robert Mueller witch hunt. 1, that Vladimir Putin wanted Donald Trump to win. 2, Putin took action to help Trump win. 3, the Russians had blackmail on Trump. That was the Steele dossier. And 4, that the Russians tried colluding with the Trump campaign. None of any of this was ever true. There was no reliable intelligence to support any of these allegations. Senior CIA officials repeatedly refused to traffic in these allegations, but they were repeatedly overruled by CIA Director Brennan and FBI Director Comey, who insisted that they be pushed, even without verifiable evidence. The Obama administration cherry-picked the intelligence, lied about their sources, misquoted sources, didn't corroborate their claims, suppressed intelligence that ran counter to their narratives, and even used anonymous internet postings. Rank and file CIA admitted what they were doing violated their own tradecraft standards. There was a massive pressure campaign that came right from the top. CIA analysts say they received unusual directives from political appointees, the CIA director, and Obama himself. This is how the Russia hoax was born. What this report actually shows is that the Russians just wanted to create chaos and undermine Americans' faith in democracy. Solid intelligence suggested that Vladimir Putin didn't care who won. He had no preference. Obama and his spy chiefs knew that Putin didn't prefer Trump over Hillary, but they cooked the intelligence to make it look like he did. Obama and his intel spies knew that Putin didn't collude with Trump and that he didn't even direct his people to help Trump win. But they put it out there anyway. Barack Obama, the CIA, and the FBI were the ones doing what our enemy wanted.
Do you believe that any of this new information implicates former President Obama in criminal behavior?
We have referred and will continue to refer all of these documents to the Department of Justice and the FBI to investigate the criminal implications of this.
For even former President Obama?
Correct. The evidence that we have found and that we have released directly point to President Obama leading the manufacturing of this intelligence assessment. There are multiple pieces of evidence and intelligence that confirm that.
Hell, folks, this is big. 24 former CIA and FBI officials are now stepping forward, and they're not pointing fingers at random bureaucrats. No, they're directing the spotlight straight at Barack Obama himself. This is exactly what Strzok and Page were hinting at when they talked about their insurance policy. The Clinton machine needed a safety net in 2016. They needed a political nuke ready to detonate if Trump actually won. And so the Steele dossier was born, a British intel op paid for by the Clinton campaign, boosted by Brennan, and propped up with fabricated evidence. We've all lived through the Russia hoax, but now it's looking less like incompetence and more like an orchestrated operation, one that may trace right back to Obama. That's been the core argument behind Obamagate from day one, and suddenly the picture is coming into focus. Now we've got insiders describing the whole thing as a coordinated hit job, and honestly, it feels like we might be standing at the edge of something explosive. We have new files tied to the Clinton Foundation's money pipeline, reports of a $5 million bribe each for Joe and Hunter Biden from Burisma, fresh scrutiny on Comey, Strzok, Brennan, all of them, and now suggestions of cooperation from people inside the federal government who are naming Obama directly. Either this is the biggest letdown in political history, or the pressure valve is about to blow. And please, spare me the sudden Democratic panic about norms, as if we're all supposed to pretend they didn't spend years throwing sham indictments, bogus investigations, and media-manufactured hysteria at Trump. They built this battlefield. Now they're shocked someone else is fighting on it? You made the rules, right? No one is above the law? Well, that sword cuts both ways. If evidence emerges that you weaponized intelligence agencies to rig public opinion or undermine an election, then the consequences are yours to own. Now look, I'm still cautious. We've seen plenty of supposed bombshells fizzle out, but for the first time, it genuinely feels like the dam is leaking. The investigations into Strzok, Page, Brennan, the whispers about Obama's role, it's all aligning in a way it hasn't before. So let the facts roll out. Let the documents drop. Let the truth lead where it leads. You know, the exact thing Democrats pretended to be doing while launching legal grenades at Trump, except this time with actual evidence instead of political theater. Buckle up, folks. Things might be about to get very interesting. That's all for now. Appreciate you watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.